void of space was silent, endless, and dark. Then a shadow moved. A warship the size of a city drifted through the stars. Its metal skin was black as night, covered in the scars of many battles. Inside that ship walked a creature known across the galaxy by one name only, Karnak, the alien killer. Karnak was not born. He was made. His body was built for war, tall, heavy, armored with bone plates that could stop plasma fire. His eyes glowed faint green, and each breath he took sounded like thunder in the quiet hall. Every species in the outer systems knew his name. Where Karnak went, death followed. On this day he walked into the command chamber of his ship, the Vortex Claw. Around him, alien officers stood at attention. They had seen him return from wars that wiped out whole colonies. But today their eyes were full of unease. "Your next target," said the commander, handing him a glowing data crystal, "is a human." The room fell silent. For a moment even the hum of the engines seemed to stop. Karnak looked at the crystal, confused. "A human?" he repeated slowly. "That weak ground species from the blue world?" The commander nodded. "Yes, a man named John Mercer." A low laugh rolled from Karnak's throat. "You sent me to kill kings, generals, beasts that could crush ships. And now a single human?" But the commander didn't laugh. His face stayed cold. "Do not underestimate this one. The human destroyed an entire strike fleet alone." Karnak's eyes narrowed. "Impossible." "We thought so too," the commander said. "But our records don't lie. Every soldier that went after him vanished. Only static came back. Some said they heard his voice in their comms, whispering before they died." The alien killer turned toward the viewing window. Stars stretched like rivers of light. "Then I will find him," Karnak said. "And I will end him." "Be careful," the commander warned. "They say humans fear death, but this one, he teaches fear." Karnak left the room with a silent growl. Fear. He had hunted fear out of himself long ago. He did not understand the word anymore. Hours later, the Vortex Claw entered the solar system. The pale blue planet of Earth appeared in the distance, floating quietly against the sun. Karnak stood on the bridge, his armor shining under the red emergency lights. "Prepare landing craft," he ordered. The ship's crew obeyed. But strange things began to happen. The navigation screen flickered. A cold static filled the comms. For a moment, a faint human voice broke through. Quiet, almost calm. "I've been waiting for you." Karnak's claws tightened on the console. "Who said that?" he demanded. The crew looked around, confused. "Sir, the channel is empty." No signal detected, then the lights dimmed. Systems blinked on and off. A symbol appeared across every screen, an old Earth military code. Karnak grinned. "So the human plays games." He launched the dropship anyway. The descent through Earth's clouds was violent. Lightning flashed against metal, and alarms screamed as the craft spun through storm winds. Karnak stayed standing, balanced like a stone. He felt no fear. The ship crashed down on a dark, empty plain. Around him stretched a broken human facility, old, silent, full of dust and shadows. He stepped out, boots crushing the metal floor. The air smelled of rust and burned fuel. Somewhere in the distance, a single light flickered. His scanner picked up one heartbeat. Slow, steady, human. Karnak smiled. "So you are here." He walked deeper inside. The halls were narrow and full of echoes. Each step sounded louder than the last. He could hear machines humming behind the walls. The place was alive in some strange way, though no one moved. "John Mercer," Karnak's voice echoed. "Come out, human. Face your death." No answer. Only silence, and the faint sound of something moving above him. He turned sharply. Nothing there. Another sound behind him, a whisper through his communicator. "You shouldn't have come." Karnak fired a plasma shot into the ceiling. The beam burned through metal, but there was no target. Only smoke, he frowned. His scanner flickered again, and the heartbeat was gone. "How?" he muttered. Then the lights went out completely. In total darkness, he could still hear that calm human voice inside his helmet. "You came for me, killer. Now let's see what you fear." For the first time in his long, brutal life, Karnak's breath caught for a moment. A feeling he did not recognize touched him. Cold, quiet, deep in his chest. He stood still in the dark. The great alien killer, alone on a dying world, began to understand what the word fear might mean. The silence inside the old human facility felt heavy, almost alive. Every sound echoed too long and every shadow seemed to move. Karnak's glowing eyes cut through the dark as he scanned the empty halls. The readings on his wrist display jumped in and out. Static, broken signals, and sometimes a faint human heartbeat that disappeared as soon as he tried to trace it. He moved slowly now, claws clicking against metal. "Show yourself, human," he growled. "I do not play games." No answer. Only the low hum of machines deep within the structure. The building looked ancient, walls covered in dust, old wires hanging from the ceiling, computers long dead. Yet sometimes one screen would flicker to life for just a moment, showing strange data, then go dark again. It was like the place was watching him. Karnak walked through what looked like a control room. Old chairs, broken screens, shattered glass. On the wall, human words were painted in red. "Fear me not." He stared at the message for a moment. "Arrogant human," he muttered, and moved on. As he passed through a narrow corridor, he heard a faint metallic sound, like footsteps. He turned instantly, weapon ready. The scanner flashed again, heartbeat detected 30 meters ahead. He rushed forward, heavy steps shaking the ground. The target moved too, fast, agile. Karnak smashed through a door and entered a wide chamber filled with broken machines. He raised his weapon and shouted, "Mercer!" A shadow moved behind one of the machines, small compared to his massive frame. Without hesitation, Karnak fired. The plasma blast hit the metal, melting it down, but there was nothing behind it. Then, from the other side of the room, a calm, human voice spoke through a speaker. "Still using your eyes to see? You should learn to listen instead," Karnak roared, smashing another console. "Come out!" "You're not hunting me, Karnak," the voice replied. "I'm hunting you." The killer froze. How did the human know his name? He looked around. The lights above him flickered, white for a second, then red, then white again. Something in the walls began to move. Metal plates slid open, and small machines, drones, floated out surrounding him. Karnak aimed and fired. The drones exploded, but more appeared, circling him like flies. They weren't attacking. They were watching, recording. "Enough!" he shouted. "Face me with honor." The voice came again, now closer, almost whispering in his ear. "Honor? You think fear and honor live in the same place?" He spun around, no one there. His sensors went wild, showing signals everywhere. 10 heartbeats, 20, 50. Impossible. He fired in every direction, blasts lighting the room in flashes of blue fire. But when the smoke cleared, the heartbeats vanished again. Only one small sound remained, the slow, steady rhythm of his own breathing. For the first time, Karnak realized he was sweating. His claws trembled slightly. He opened a communication link to his ship. "This is Karnak," he said. Respond, only static answered. Then a voice, but not his crew. "They can't hear you." "You're alone now," he growled. "I am never alone." "I am Karnak, destroyer of worlds." "And I'm John Mercer," said the voice. "I destroy destroyers." Something dropped from the ceiling, a small round device that rolled toward his feet. Karnak stepped back, aiming his weapon, but it was too late. The device exploded with a bright flash. Not a blast, a pulse. Every piece of his armor froze. His visor went black. For a few seconds he was blind. He could hear only his own heartbeat, then faint footsteps, soft, human. He tried to move, but the suit's servos locked. The sound of the footsteps came closer, then stopped just behind him. A voice whispered, not from speakers, not from comms, but directly from behind his head. "Now, alien, tell me, are you afraid yet?" Karnak roared, forcing his armor back to life with sheer strength. He swung around and fired blindly. The plasma hit the wall, burning a hole through steel, but the human was gone. When his systems came back online, he saw something new on his display. A message burned into his interface. "Run." Karnak stood still. For a moment he didn't understand. Then the ground began to shake. Explosions echoed through the lower floors. The entire facility was collapsing. He ran through the corridors, smashing through doors, trying to reach the surface. The human voice followed him everywhere, calm and cold. "You came here for the hunt, Karnak. Now you know how it feels to be hunted." The killer escaped through the outer gate, just as the facility exploded behind him, fire lighting the sky. He looked back, breathing hard, no sign of the human, no body, no trace. But in the flames he could still hear that calm voice inside his mind. This is only the beginning. Karnak stood alone in the burning light, and for the first time in his life he wasn't sure if he was the hunter anymore. Smoke drifted across the ruins. The facility was gone. Nothing left but twisted metal and glowing fire. Karnak stood at the edge, armor scorched, breathing heavy. His chest rose and fell in short bursts. He was not tired, not yet, but something deep inside him felt off. The voice, that human voice, still echoed in his head, calm, confident, fearless. "You came for me, killer. Now let's see what you fear." Karnak's claws clenched. Fear. That word again. He hated it. He had trained his entire life to remove fear, to kill it like any other enemy. But now the word stayed in his mind like a wound that would not close. He looked at the burning ground and spoke softly to himself. "No creature can make me afraid." But then his comms crackled again, static, broken whispers. He froze. "Still here, Karnak, still watching." He turned around sharply, scanning every direction. The area was empty. His ship, the Vortex Claw, was supposed to be nearby. He tried to reconnect with it. "Command, respond. I'm returning." Nothing. Only the same human voice. "They can't hear you anymore. This is between you and me." Karnak's jaw tightened. "Coward. Show yourself." The voice didn't answer. Instead, a new sound came from the hills, a low hum, like an engine turning on. Karnak looked up and saw a small drone floating above him. It projected a hologram. A human face appeared in the air, calm eyes, light beard, and a cold expression. "John Mercer." "Finally," Karnak growled. "I see you." The hologram smiled. "You think you see me, but you don't." Before Karnak could reply, the hologram changed. It showed images, flashes of battlefields, destroyed alien ships, dead soldiers. Karnak recognized them. These were his victories, his kills. "How do you know these?" he demanded. "I studied you," Mercer said. "You think you are a weapon, but even weapons can be broken." Karnak raised his arm cannon and fired at the drone. The hologram vanished, but his sensors showed dozens more signals around him. Drones, moving fast. One by one, they lit up the night sky, projecting memories from his own mind. He saw himself as a young soldier, standing before his alien commander. He heard the voice of his mentor. "Kill without feeling. Fear nothing. Only then you are perfect." Now that same voice echoed in his mind, mixed with Mercer's voice, calm and human. "You fear nothing, Karnak. That is your weakness." He roared and fired wildly. The sky burned with plasma. Drones exploded, but the holograms kept appearing. Each one showed more of his past, the faces of the species he destroyed, the cities he burned. For the first time, he noticed something strange. Every time a new image appeared, his heart rate jumped. His breathing grew faster. His hands began to shake. The alien killer was not used to shaking. He stopped firing. The silence that followed was worse than the battle. Then Mercer's real voice, not from a drone, not from a comm, but close, behind him. "You call yourself a hunter, but you've never looked into the eyes of your prey, have you?" Karnak turned fast, but there was no one there. "You never watch the fear you create. You just kill and leave. That's not strength, that's blindness." Something moved in the shadows, a human shape. Small compared to Karnak, but standing firm, John Mercer. He walked slowly toward the alien, his boots crunching over metal. He carried no gun, no armor, just a dark coat and a calm stare. Karnak raised his weapon. "One shot and you die." Mercer didn't move. "Then shoot." For a second, the alien hesitated. The human eyes looking at him didn't show fear. They showed something worse, understanding. "You don't want to kill me," Mercer said. "You want to understand me." "Lies," Karnak snapped. Then pulled the trigger. The silence stretched. Only the fire crackled in the distance. Karnak's finger twitched, but he couldn't shoot. His aim shook. Mercer stepped closer. "You feel it, don't you, that cold feeling inside? That's fear. You've spent your whole life running from it." Karnak shouted and swung his arm, firing, but Mercer moved faster, rolling to the side. The plasma blast hit the ground, exploding in fire. When the smoke cleared, Mercer was gone. Only his voice remained. "You can't kill fear, Karnak. You can only face it." The alien fell to one knee, his claws digging into the dirt. His breathing came rough now. His visor showed rising heart rate and body stress. He whispered to himself, "What is this?" Mercer's voice answered, distant but clear. "It's being human." The screen in Karnak's helmet flickered again. A single message appeared. "Welcome to fear." And then everything went dark. Darkness swallowed everything. Karnak's visor was black. His sensors were dead. Even the sound of his breathing faded until it was just the slow beat of his own heart. Then light returned, faint, flickering like the dying glow of a candle. The alien killer stood in the middle of what looked like a memory. The walls around him weren't real. They shimmered, flickered, and changed shape. He was standing on a battlefield, but not one he remembered. Corpses of aliens lay scattered around. Smoke rose into the red sky, and there, out among them, stood John Mercer. He looked the same as before, calm, collected, almost peaceful. "Do you know where we are?" he asked. Karnak snarled. "A trick, an illusion." Mercer shook his head. "No, this is truth. This is what fear looks like to you." The ground shook under Karnak's feet. He looked around. The bodies were changing. They weren't aliens anymore. They were his own kind, the warriors of his homeworld, his soldiers, his brothers. Each one looked at him with empty eyes. "You see," Mercer said softly, "you thought fear made you weak. But it's what connects us. It's what makes us fight for something." "I fight for victory," Karnak growled. "No," Mercer replied. "You fight because you're afraid to lose. You just never admitted it." Karnak raised his weapon. "Enough!" He fired, but the plasma blast passed through Mercer like smoke. The human didn't move. His voice stayed calm. "You came to kill a human," Mercer said, "but you found something older than war. Something even your kind forgot long ago." "What is that?" Karnak asked, his voice shaking despite himself. Mercer stepped closer, his eyes reflecting the fire around them. "Fear," he said. "Real fear. The kind that teaches. The kind that makes us protect what we love. You've killed thousands, Karnak, but you've never loved anything. That's why you're empty." The scene changed again and the battlefield vanished, replaced by the ruins of Earth's cities. Human children ran through broken streets, laughing despite the smoke. Soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder, holding their ground against alien fire. Mercer's voice echoed around him. Humans fear death every day, yet they still wake up, still fight, still dream. Fear doesn't stop them, it drives them. Karnak looked at the images, men and women facing death without hesitation. His mind couldn't understand it. On his world, fear was weakness, but here it looked like strength. Mercer turned to face him again. "That's the difference between us. You were made to destroy, we were made to survive, and we survive because we fear." The ground under Karnak cracked. The illusion of the city melted away, replaced by the real world, the broken plain under a stormy sky. Lightning flashed in the distance. Karnak fell to one knee, his systems rebooted. Data filled his visor again, but the readings were unstable. His ship was gone, his signal jammed, the storm was spreading fast. "You can't win," he said, voice low but steady. Mercer appeared again, this time not as a hologram, but standing in front of him, flesh and blood. He looked almost ordinary. No armor, no weapons, only the steady light in his eyes. "I already have," he said, "because I made you feel what no one else ever could." Karnak's claws dug into the dirt. "You think fear makes you powerful?" Mercer smiled faintly. "No, it makes us human." A long silence followed. The storm roared above them, wind howling across the field. Then Mercer spoke again, voice calm but sharp as steel. "You aliens think we're weak because we bleed, because we fear, because we cry. But every time you bring war to us, you learn the same truth. Fear doesn't break humans. It builds them." Lightning struck nearby. The shockwave threw dust into the air. Mercer didn't move. Karnak looked up at him, and for the first time in his long life, the alien killer didn't see prey. He saw something he didn't understand. Resolve. Mercer stepped closer, placing a hand on Karnak's weapon. "You came here to kill me, but you can't kill what you don't understand." Karnak's breathing slowed. His weapon lowered slightly. His mind was chaos, part rage, part confusion, part something new. Fear. He felt it completely now. Cold, alive, powerful. Mercer turned away, walking into the storm. "When you understand it," he said without looking back, "you'll understand what it means to be alive." Karnak watched him disappear into the light. The storm swallowed the human completely. The alien looked at his trembling hands. For the first time he whispered the word softly, not as an insult, but as truth. Fear. The storm raged on. Lightning lit the plain, thunder shaking the broken earth. Karnak stood alone, armor scorched, claws dug deep into the dirt. Every instinct screamed to hunt, to destroy, to dominate. But the alien killer felt something he had never felt before. Fear. He clenched his fists. He had faced countless enemies. Beasts that could crush planets. Soldiers that could annihilate cities, even entire fleets. Yet this human, this one being, had stripped him bare. From the shadows a faint movement appeared. John Mercer, calm, unarmed. Walking toward him with a slow, steady pace, Karnak roared, raising his plasma cannon. "One shot and you die." Mercer did not flinch. "You came for a human," he said, "and now you've discovered what it means to fear." "That is power you never knew," Karnak fired. Plasma bolts scorched the ground around Mercer. The human dodged effortlessly, moving like a shadow, his eyes fixed on Karnak's. "You can try to kill me," Mercer said, "but fear can't be destroyed. It can only be faced. And I face it every day." Karnak's vision flickered. His systems were damaged, his armor cracked, sparks flying from the joints. His mind raced, attack, defend, fire, retreat. He had never felt so unprepared. Mercer raised his hand, not to strike, but to calm. "It's over, Karnak. You can leave or you can fall here and learn the lesson." The alien growled, charging with a final roar. Claws swung, energy blasts fired. The human danced between the attacks, leading Karnak toward the edge of a collapsed reactor chamber. "You fight with your hands, your weapons, your armor," Mercer said. "I fight with my heart." "And hearts can be stronger than steel." Karnak's steps faltered. The floor beneath him cracked, giving way. He tried to leap, but Mercer was faster. The human grabbed a falling metal beam, using it to block the alien's path. For the first time, Karnak realized something terrifying. He was trapped. Alone, wounded, and outmatched not by strength, but by mind and courage. "No," he shouted, thrashing, firing, striking. But the chamber was collapsing. Sparks and fire surrounded him, smoke choking the air. Every move Mercer made was precise, effortless, unstoppable. "You came here to destroy," Mercer said, voice calm amid chaos. "But you found fear instead. That is something you never understood." The last piece of floor crumbled beneath Karnak's feet. He fell, claws scratching, plasma cannon blazing, but it was too late. Mercer jumped aside as the alien crashed into the reactor chamber, sparks and molten metal flying around. Silence. The storm above rumbled, lightning flashing once more. Karnak lay on the ground, still breathing, still alive, but broken. He had not been killed when yet Mercer stood at a safe distance, eyes unwavering. "You came for me," he said softly. "But you've learned something more valuable than victory. You've learned fear. And that is what makes humans strong." Karnak looked up at him. For the first time he saw himself clearly. Not a hunter, not a killer, not a god of war. Just a creature alone, facing something he could not understand. The human turned and began to walk away, leaving Karnak in the ruins. But before disappearing into the storm, he called over his shoulder, "If you come for humanity again, you'll discover what fear truly means." Karnak watched, silence stretching around him. The storm faded, leaving the alien alone in the quiet aftermath. His armor was cracked, his body bruised, and his mind changed. The killer who had conquered worlds, who had faced death without flinching, who had never feared anything, now understood something new. Fear was not weakness. Fear was strength. Fear was power, and humans were stronger than he had ever imagined. Karnak rose slowly, his claws still digging into the dirt. He looked toward the sky, where the first rays of dawn broke through the clouds. A voice whispered in his mind, Mercer's voice, calm and unwavering. "Remember this moment, alien. You faced fear and survived. That is the difference between us." The alien killer did not speak. He did not roar. He only stared, the truth settling in his bones. He had been defeated, not by force but by courage, by resolve, by the human heart. And far above, orbiting silently in space, the alien fleet waited. But Karnak knew now, Earth was not weak. Humanity could not be broken. And any who came again would meet the same lesson. Karnak turned away from the plane, leaving the ruins and fire behind. The storm faded completely. Silence returned. And in that quiet, the killer understood one final truth. Even monsters could learn to fear. And even fear could create heroes. The human had won. And the galaxy would never forget it.